I just love new build houses, and if you're thinking about buying one here in 2025, then I want to share some tips with you so that you can keep these on top of your mind. See, I've helped several families buy new construction homes all over San Antonio, and sometimes they don't realize these things until we're already in the process of buying a house. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that I think you should keep top of mind if you're planning to buy a new construction house in 2025. But before we dive into that, if we haven't met yet, my name is Brock and I sell new construction homes all over San Antonio and the surrounding areas. So if you are curious about buying a new build house, or you have questions, if you would like to go see one, or if you would just like representation in buying a new build house, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I've got all of my contact information down below for you, and I would love to be a resource and help however I may be of assistance to you and your family. So with that, let's go ahead and dive on into some of these tips that I already mentioned. The first one is just being cognizant and just knowing that there may be some hidden costs with a house. See, a lot of these builders, they advertise homes for sale, and in a lot of cases it's going to be one of 2 types of houses, right? It's either going to be a plan that they can build in the community, and we'll talk about that more specifically here in a minute, and then the other type of house that they typically advertise is what we call an inventory home, meaning this is a house that is either already under construction and maybe it's nearly complete with construction, or it is already 100% done and it is ready for a family to move into it. A lot of the times the homes that I do sell are inventory homes, and the prices here, there's not usually a whole lot of hidden surprises with these homes because they've already got the price, they've already got all the options and lot premiums and all those things in it. But why I mentioned some of those things, let's talk about these hidden costs on the ones that maybe in a buildable phase, maybe you get to choose the plan, choose the lot, and design it from the ground up and really make the house yours. These are the ones where a lot of the hidden costs are. And with these hidden costs, I've already kind of mentioned a couple of them, but one of the biggest ones is going to be a lot premium. See, a lot of the builders, when they have a community, they've purchased all of this land for, X amount of dollars, and then they've subdivided and, brought that cost to each of the homes that they're going to sell. So typically, a lot premium is X amount for all of the lots, but the ones that have a higher premium are going to be ones that are more desirable by folks out there. And typically these higher in demand lots are going to be ones that are on corner lots because typically they're a little bit larger. Also, the cul-de-sac lots out there typically have a larger backyard, and so a lot of people really gravitate towards these larger lots because they're going to have more backyard space to do whatever they may do with their backyards once they become the owner of the house. Now, some of the other hidden costs with a new construction house are going to be along the lines of the design and the options and upgrades that you can really put into a house. Some of these design features may be like adding a covered patio to the back, maybe it's adding a bay window into one of the rooms of the house, and some of the upgrades you can really kind of consider are also going to be things like your flooring, your cabinetry, your countertops, things like that that can really increase the cost of a house. And so in a lot of cases, these inventory homes that I already mentioned at the beginning, they already have all of these things picked out and planned for the house. So the price that you're seeing on the inventory homes, that's the price you're going to be paying for it. Of course, on these ones that are more starting prices of the buildable plans, that's when you can really start adding a lot of cost to these homes, because you'll see the base price of the plan, and let's say the base price is $449,900, right? That is what this plan is starting at, but by the time you start choosing your lot, choosing all of the design options and your interior finish out of the house, that's when you start adding the costs and actually make it significantly higher. And one of the final hidden costs that people typically don't think about is your HOA. A lot of these new construction communities out there that are being built have HOAs, and in fact, I haven't come across one yet that does not have an HOA on it. But your typical HOA fees here in San Antonio are going to range from about $200 to about $600 or even a little bit more per year. Sometimes these HOAs have really good amenities, and sometimes they have no amenities. So you really got to know what the HOA fee is and what it covers, because each HOA unfortunately is different out there. And as a pro tip for these hidden costs, if you are ever speaking with a sales representative for the builder, just ask them for a full breakdown of all the costs. Usually they will have a list of all the options that are on a house as well as the costs associated with each of those things, so they can really help you understand the true cost of the house versus all the upgrades, the lot premium, and all the other fun stuff that may be hidden there. So with that, let's move on to another thing that folks typically don't think about until we're already in the process, and that is just going to be the builder warranties that are offered by these builders. Now, all of the new construction builders here in San Antonio offer a builder warranty on their homes. Typically, I'm seeing a warranty system of about a 1-2-10 is what they call it, where the first year is kind of like a bumper to bumper warranty on a car, where if any little thing breaks on the house, it is covered under warranty for the first full year of the house. Typically, they don't cover things like dents in the walls or little things like that. However, if your flooring is coming up or your cabinet's loose, or maybe something with the electrical goes out, all of those things are covered for the first full year. year. And so after this first year is up, some things kind of fall off from the warranty, but there are still a number of things that are under warranty for the first and second year of the warranty. So we're moving into the 2 part of the 1 to 10 warranty here. And during the second year, usually these are all of the systems and components that are hidden within the wall. So you think of your HVAC, your plumbing, and your electrical systems. All those systems are covered for usually 2 years. And then after that warranty is over, you still have your 10-year structural warranty where things such as your foundation and your roof are covered for the first 10 years of ownership of that house. So really understanding these warranties, what they do and do not cover, is very important. Some of the builders have slightly different versions of warranties, but the 1 to 10 is the most common warranty I see for a majority of the builders in San Antonio. So as you and I are shopping around to the builders, we will definitely ask those questions, and you can make sure that, whatever systems and components are important to you are covered, and just making sure that you understand that warranty before you sign on that contract. And as a little tip here, I always 100% recommend getting a home inspection before you purchase the house, and then even around month 10 or 11 of you owning the house. If you get this inspection before you own it, of course the builder can, remediate any issues and take care of those problems before you take ownership, because once you move into a house, let's face it, it's a little tough, coordinating your personal schedule with these contractor schedules so that you can have these items taken care of. So if you can catch everything before you move in, that just saves some extra time and stress on your end. And around month 10 or 11, it's always good to really have an inspector come out again, whether it's the same inspector or a different inspector, and have them come through the house and really see what deficiencies may have come up during your first 10 or 11 months of owning the house, so that you can submit everything to the warranty company before that first year warranty is over. All right, now the third tip I'm going to share with you is just knowing and understanding the timing of the construction process. A lot of the builders here in San Antonio will take anywhere between 3 and 8 months to build a house, sometimes longer if it's a little bit larger of a house, custom design that you're doing. However, anywhere between 3 to 8 months is pretty normal to see on the major builders that we have here in San Antonio. Unfortunately, there are a number of things that can cause some delays on this process. Things like the weather, right? No one can really control the weather. It just happens as it happens. And if you're starting to build a house during the rainy season, maybe when it's like in the spring or the fall, you can maybe reasonably expect a little bit more delays to get the foundation done and get the framing done, just because, some of the major weather events, if it's really raining, it's hard to pour concrete and harder to build, the framing of the house. So it might cause some delays on the construction process. Whereas once, the outer shell of the house is built, the interior stuff, usually it's dry and it's easy for folks to kind of go in there and work. Maybe a little cold, maybe a little hot, but the crews are still able to work and get some things done because they're kind of covered from the elements, right? But away from the weather here, some other things that can't be controlled are just supply chain issues. Back in 2020 and 2021, when the housing market kind of went on a boom, there was a really mad grab for various appliances and things that, go into houses. So these builders are having to wait an extra month or two to get, dishwashers in, as one of the things that comes to mind. And so it took longer to get dishwashers in to, put in these homes. It took longer to get materials as far as lumber and sheetrock and all of the other building materials that they need. So just knowing that there is a potential for supply chain shortages depending on what's happening out in the greater market. I know one thing too is the chips. When the chip market was going crazy and it was hard for, a lot of automakers to find chips, some of those chips were hard to find for, appliances and systems and components that go in houses. So that caused issues. Now there may also potentially be a delay on, labor shortages depending on the crews that are available or not available to build these houses. So there is just a number of factors that can delay a closing. So if you're building a house from the ground up, really just understand that there is a potential for delays, and giving the crews an extra 2 to 4 weeks to build should give an ample amount of time for them to get that house constructed and have room for any delays. Now there is always a chance that it could be built faster depending on how fast things move with the process. So there could be earlier, but more often than not, I see homes being delayed on construction for one reason or another. Now, the fourth tip I wanted to share with you today is just understanding the location of the builders here in San Antonio. A lot of these builders have been building for several decades all over San Antonio, but as they've been running out of space, they've been having to go further away from the city, and actually they're starting to build beyond the city limits in a lot of cases. With this, the commercial real estate side of things hasn't really kept up with the residential real estate, and so these builders are kind of building in areas where there's not as many, grocery stores, gas stations, stores for you to shop at. Maybe schools are a little bit further further. In addition, sometimes these roads are not built out yet, or there's not enough road, that maybe they need to widen them to accommodate all of the additional traffic happening. So just knowing that the location of these builders may not quite be the most ideal, at least in the early phases of construction for these communities. But over time, the commercial real estate, the roads, all that fun stuff that I already shared will eventually catch up to it. So it does take a little bit longer for you to, travel to the grocery store, schools, maybe to get to work, all those sorts of things, just because they're a little bit further away from where a lot of the new communities are being built. Of course, these builders do have a lot of planning before they start a community, so that they know the infrastructure and the impacts and all this stuff ahead of time, and they can kind of see growth trends happening around the cities as they start to develop these new neighborhoods. So just knowing that the commercial development is a little bit slower than the residential development in a lot of cases can kind of help give you a solid idea of where maybe you should look at and research before you actually dive into a certain community. Now, this final tip that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is my favorite and also probably the most important for you guys to understand. It's honestly one of the ones that most people don't even know about until I bring it up, but it's the fact that you can actually negotiate with these builders on their house and their prices. A lot of the homes that are sold by these builders are inventory homes, meaning that they're already, under some sort of construction, if not already done with construction, as I've already mentioned earlier in this video. However, these prices that they share are not the final sales price. And in a lot of times you can actually negotiate these prices even further down than what is already being advertised. For example, I had some folks that I helped a couple of years ago. They're moving from one state to down here in San Antonio, and the house that they are looking at was already discounted about $25,000 from the builder. We went in there, my folks loved this house, and we actually were able to negotiate an additional $15,000 off of the price of this house. And so they ended up saving quite a bit of money off the original sales price of the house. On top of that, they got some good incentives, but I won't get into that here. What I wanted to illustrate with that example is the fact that you can actually negotiate sales prices regardless if they're already discounted or not. And on top of negotiating the sales price, you can also ask for additional incentives and other discounts in other areas, right? Now, outside of the sales price and the incentive money from the builder, some additional things you can always negotiate and ask for are going to be things as appliances, irrigation system, maybe a garage door opener, or even blinds in the house. A lot of the times my folks like to ask for a washer, dryer, and refrigerator because those are the appliances that they're going to be asking for that are not included in the house. And sometimes these builders do offer things such as a garage door opener or an irrigation system, but it really just depends on the builder on what additional things that they're going to be adding to the house and what other items are already included. So whenever we're out there together looking at some of these houses, we will always ask the builders and see what they are offering and ask for additional things. The big key takeaway from this tip here is just to always ask the builder what's included and always ask for additional things. The worst they can say is no, and having a good agent that is helpful in those negotiations can really help you secure the most out of the deal and make sure it is the best possible outcome for you and your family. All right, so those are the 5 tips I wanted to share with you guys, but I want to hear from you. If you've purchased a new build house in the past, what are some tips that I may have missed that you would like to share with others? I would love to hear, your experience and what you've negotiated for, as well as some additional tips that folks may need to know about that I've left out. So please drop those down below in the comments. And if you have any questions about buying a new build house, or if you would just like some help in finding a new build house for you and your family, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I've got all of my contact information down below, and I would love to be a resource for you and help you out however I can. So please reach out whenever you are ready or have some questions, and I would love to help you at that time. With that, thank you for watching this video, and if you haven't already, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like this video, and while you're there, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon as well so that you'll be the first to know the next time I post a video about buying a new construction house or sharing a beautiful home tour of a new build house right here in San Antonio and the surrounding areas. So with that, thank you for watching the video. I hope you have an incredible day, and I can't wait to talk to you guys soon.